afternoon, dear students. Welcome back in the class. Myself, Shankar, for Sociology at SRIRAM. Today, we have to discuss about a very important topic, and our topic is the bureaucracy. Today, we'll discuss about first what is bureaucracy. Thereafter, we shall have discussion on why the rise of bureaucracy across the world, more importantly in the industrial society. Thereafter, I shall tell you some features of bureaucracy. Thereafter, I'll discuss about what are the basic functions of bureaucracy in our country, in developing countries, in developed countries, and thereafter, just highlight some of the weaknesses of bureaucracy, challenges of bureaucracy that have been highlighted by many sociologists as well as by administrative thinkers, right? So let us go for discussion of the subject matter. We are going to discuss about bureaucracy, right? We have to discuss about, here we can talk about bureaucracy in terms of its meaning. We can talk about in terms of its features, right? Its features. Thereafter, we can talk about the functions. Thereafter, we can talk about the functions and thereafter we can talk about some dysfunctions or merits or demerits, right? 4 areas of discussion today we have to talk about on the bureaucracy, right? See, the term bureaucracy, being a French economist, this term for the first time developed by a French economist, that is Vincent de Gonnet. Vincent de Gonnet first developed this concept around the 1745. He was a great French economist, and he used the term just to talk about, in a satirical manner, he talked about this word, right? Like he told that in France, the French society is, there is an organization in French society creating havoc, and that is basically the bureaumania. So this term he used, bureaumania, that a kind of excessive attachment to the rules and regulations in France regarding doing the work, and from there this term came into existence, right? But actually the true sense, this term mainly highlighted by and properly developed by the Max Weber. You know, Max Weber was a great German sociologist, and we can say he was an economist, a sociologist, a philosopher, etc. So Max Weber for the first time developed and elaborated the concept of bureaucracy, and he highlighted how the bureaucracy, because of its technical superiority and because of its specialization, how bureaucracy plays very important role today in the modern organization, right? So from here the bureaucracy came into existence, and actual meaning of this word we can say when the came bureau and cracy, right? When we talk about the bureau means a kind of a table and the cracy means a kind of system. So broadly it is considered like the table government. We can say the table government or government working on the basis of table, means using the table. So on the basis of this term, table government came into existence, but now bureaucracy has a very designated meaning, very special meaning, though the term comes from the table government or government on table, right? Now come to the point discussion. First let me say, I told you the meaning, how it originated, then we'll discuss about some features, some functions, some dysfunctions. When we talk about what is the bureaucracy, then first let me discuss about the meaning of bureaucracy, right? Meaning of bureaucracy. What is the meaning of the bureaucracy? You know about it? The meaning of the bureaucracy, like Weber never defined in proper way, but despite that Weber has talked about the bureaucracy or one simplest meaning of the bureaucracy is a, like, consider basically hierarchical. Bureaucracy means a hierarchical organization with right. One meaning of bureaucracy is a hierarchical organization with a right. Very simplest meaning of the bureaucracy is that bureaucracy is basically the hierarchical organization, right? Here the hierarchical organization means that is a superior subordinate relationship. Thereafter we can say that with appointed officer. Weber's definition of the bureaucracy is a more broader definition. Weber says that bureaucracy means he simply says it is an hierarchical organization designed rationally to coordinate the work of many individuals and to perform this is the definition given. Bureaucracy is first defines about the bureaucracy is a hierarchical organization. It is designed rationally. Why? To coordinate the work of many individuals and to perform administrative tasks, right? So the basic function of bureaucracy is first of all, bureaucracy is a hierarchical organization where different hierarchies are created and every hierarchy has a position. Every position has a jurisdiction. So every position has to work within the framework of the jurisdiction. So we can say hierarchical organization, and bureaucracy has been designed rationally. So it's a very deliberate and well planned just to do some task. It has to coordinate the work of many individuals and to perform the administrative task. This is the basic definition of the bureaucracy given by the Max Weber, right? Clear, fine. So as per Weberian terminology, bureaucracy is mainly the hierarchical organization that has to perform many administrative tasks today. Now, when we talk about the why bureaucracy organization came into existence, what factors contributed to the rise of bureaucracy? Factors contributed, right? When we talk about factors contributed, what factors contributed to the rise of bureaucracy? What factors contributed? Weber has highlighted a number of factors that is responsible for bureaucracy. Weber says bureaucracy also existed in the past, like in China, in ancient China, there was existence of bureaucracy. But earlier bureaucracy was not a hierarchical, not the very rational organization, not designed rationally. It was some kind of hierarchical organization existed, but sometimes no security of tenure, sometimes no permanent work, and many other complications were existed during the medieval and ancient time. But modern bureaucracy is the feature, no doubt, of the industrial society. So Weber has highlighted, Weber says the factors that have contributed to the rise of bureaucracy, that first he says like the money economy. Many factors are there. I am not writing in any hierarchical order, but simply money economy. As the result of rise of money economy or money as the medium of exchange, now it was made possible that they could be paid, their salary could be paid in cash, and therefore it was possible to hold or to just maintain the large organization. Second, considered like quantitative development of Second, consider that quantitative development of or increment of development of the government's task or the administrative task. Two things are there, no? First, money economy. Second, quantitative development of governments or administrative tasks. Vast number of work on the part of government which were required to be performed, so bureaucracy came into existence. Third, consider the complexity of society. Complexity of society, do you know about it? Complexity of society means simply that in a simple society, simple organization can work, but in a very complex society, multi-caste system, like multi-class system, multi-ethnic groups are there, people are divided on different grounds, larger increment population, dense population, and therefore an independent organization is required to perform the task so that an independent organization can help and can do the work for everybody. Sometimes can coordinate the like a competing interest of many groups of the society. So second, consider. Third is consider that next consider the technology. As Weber say, the technology made possible. Apart from that, now it was possible that the capitalist economy, because capitalist economy means a large scale industrialization, large scale diversification of work, and therefore it was required that one independent organization. And last but not least, we can say, apart from these, many other factors are there. These are main factors. Apart from that, we can say rise of modern nation state, right? Rise of modern nation state. Because the rise of modern nation state, it needed bureaucracy so that the government's task, government's work could be executed properly by an independent, rational organization. Therefore, bureaucracy came into existence, right? Fine. So I just told you what is bureaucracy. Thereafter, I told you that what are the features, what are the factors that contributed to the rise of bureaucracy. Now, next part that we can say that what are the defining features of bureaucracy? What are the fundamental features of bureaucracy or the main features of bureaucracy? Let us go very briefly. I'll discuss about what are the main features of the bureaucracy. That is the main features of bureaucracy. When we talk about the basic features, basic features of bureaucracy. What are the basic features of bureaucracy? Many features are there. First, we can say that bureaucracy is the hierarchy. Bureaucracy has many features, and one of the feature is a hierarchy, right? Hierarchy is one of the features of the bureaucracy. Most defining feature of bureaucracy is the hierarchy. Hierarchy means how the people can be in terms of maybe here in terms of suppose class 1, suppose class 2, suppose class 3, suppose class 4. Now jobs classified into class 1, 3, 4. Or we can say, if you think about the bureaucracy, you will find pyramidal like shape. One person is there, other people will be there, other people would be there, no? Other people would be there, other people would be, I don't know how to make this kind of pictographic representation, but despite I'm talking about, again could be there, no? Again could be there, again could be there, again could be there. And if you make a diagram, then you'll find bureaucracy has this kind of hierarchical representation. So lower the position, higher the people, less the concentration of power, higher the position and more the concentration of power. Na? So go to the level, the power concentration higher over there. First, bureaucracy is there. Second is considered the bureaucracy is based on rules, based on written rules, right? Bureaucracy is not based on some oral traditions. Traditional society can be based upon the oral traditions, but bureaucracy is not based upon the oral traditions, but based on written rules. Third, we can say the bureaucracy is that is the most important thing among them also. It has the security of tenure. Bureaucracy may have the security of tenure. Fourth, we can say bureaucracy also involves the division of labor. Division of labor. Again, we can say bureaucracy division of labor. Then we can say bureaucracy the well-defined system of based on merit. One important feature of bureaucracy is that it is based on merit and having the system of training. Weber has talked about three other features of the bureaucracy. Weber talks about political neutrality, very important in today's time. That sometimes you find problem. Political neutrality. Weber talks about impersonality. Weber talks about in terms of anonymity. These are the three defining features as per Weber. Political neutrality means in democracy, bureaucracy has to perform tasks towards the different political parties. And political parties are not the permanent organization. They are temporary executives. So they may come in power and voted out of power. So if bureaucracy is there, bureaucracy should be capable to serve all organizations, all political parties, anybody who will come in government. But it's possible only when there is actually neutrality on the part of the bureaucracy. So politically they should be neutral in democracy. And again, impersonality. Like bureaucracy should not execute its function on personal basis during the performance of public duty. So everybody, no matter personal relatives are there, would be treated as a individual in the office in neutral way, and no nepotism, no favoritism to any person. And here, no unnecessary disclosure of identity to take some unfair advantages, right? So these are the basic features of the bureaucracy, main features of the bureaucracy. Apart from, we can say bureaucracy has regular salaries given to the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is also known for its, we can say competence, and so many other features are there. Apart from, we can say like a separation between, bureaucracy also involves separation between the personal and public, public domain of life, right? Fine. One of the basic features of the bureaucracy that it involves separation between the personal and public domain of life, so that personal life is different, public life is different. Okay, and both should be separated. Personal life should not affect the performance of public duty, because if personal life would be allowed in performance of public duty, it may go wrong, and therefore it may not be allowed. Okay, fine. So these are the basic features. I just told you what is bureaucracy, why bureaucracy came into existence. Thereafter, I just told you that what are the basic features of bureaucracy. Now, thereafter we can say, like when we talk about the functions of bureaucracy, bureaucracy has many functions. See, it depends upon, in developed countries, there could be other functions. In developing countries, there could be some additional function. And functions of bureaucracy, we can say like one function, we can say a regulatory function. A regulatory function means what? Bureaucracy has to maintain the problem of law and order. Law and order. Bureaucracy has to ensure law and order maintenance. This function is equal both in developed and developing countries. So regulatory function. Second, bureaucracy has a developmental function, right? Bureaucracy has a developmental function. And this is in third world countries mainly. This is considered development administration. Development administration is part of public administration that we don't discuss in sociology. Apart from that, bureaucracy has a welfare function. Welfare function for weaker section of society, right? Apart from that, bureaucracy also involves protection function. Protection to bureaucracy also involves protection to weaker sections. Bureaucracy also involves the protection to weaker sections, right? So regulatory function, developmental function, welfare function, protection function. Last but not least, we can say modernization function. right? These are the basic functions of the bureaucracy. In developing countries, these are the main functions of the bureaucracy. The first, we have the regulatory function, then developmental function, welfare function. Bureaucracy has to perform a number of regulatory functions. Thereafter, protection to the weaker sections. And last, modernization function. In third world countries, bureaucracy is considered basically the agent of modernization. Government heavily relies on the bureaucracy for the purpose of its nation building and modernization of the nation, modernization of the institutions, right? So these are the basic functions of the bureaucracy. Now, what are the challenges? What are the demerits for which bureaucracy is also known before the people? The demerits of the bureaucracy or dysfunctions is there. Many dysfunctions are there, you may be knowing. Dysfunctions of the bureaucracy, the first you can know the name R.K. Merton. Do you know about it? R.K. Merton, a great sociologist, American sociologist, American structural functionalist, and R.K. Merton says the bureaucracy has one of the demerits. And what is the demerit of bureaucracy? The demerit of bureaucracy, R.K. Merton says, the bureaucracy has a excessive attachment to rules and regulations. And therefore, if bureaucracy has the excessive attachment to rules and regulations, therefore, bureaucracy number one, it kills initiative. Bureaucracy kills initiatives. R.K. Merton says bureaucracy is dysfunctional for our society. Why bureaucracy is dysfunctional? The first logic given, that it kills initiative. Why it kills initiative? Because bureaucracy has to work within the framework of the defined rules and regulations, cannot go beyond those defined rules and regulations. So, bureaucracy can perform its task properly in the stable environment, but not in case of very rapidly changing and transforming the society. Why? Because that needs to take initiative, and law don't permit to take initiative, so how can go for? So this leads to kills initiative, first one. Second, Weber says the bureaucracy is a given training to work in a very stable environment. So in the stable condition of society, bureaucracy is no doubt is very efficient organization. But when we talk about in a rapidly changing time, it's not. So bureaucracy suffers from trained incapacity. Trained incapacity, right? Bureaucracy suffers from trained incapacity because they are trained to work in stable environment. They are not trained to work in the other kind of environment. Like in the rapidly changing environment, they cannot work. So these are the two main ideas that have been highlighted by R.K. Merton. In fact, in sociology, the generally criticism is R.K. Merton's criticism. Merton's criticism is always asking the question if there is a first, the bureaucracy is dysfunctional for society because it kills initiative, okay, on the bureaucracy. Second, that it suffers from trained incapacity too. One more criticism of the bureaucracy is done, that may be knowing the name, that is a long back, it was the Robert Michels. Robert Michels, like Robert Michels have given the idea in 1911 when he wrote a book, Political Party. And he says that bureaucracy means, his term is a iron law of oligarchy, right? This is also a very famous quote or the idea, sometimes questions from this side on short notes. The bureaucracy suffer from the iron law of oligarchy. Iron law of oligarchy means, he simply says, no matter country is authoritarian, country is democratic, country is undemocratic. Even in the democracy, generally it is considered that democracy means rule by the majority. Democracy means government by the people, classical definition of Abraham Lincoln. But actually, if you have the observation, you will find even in democracy, all people cannot be in the governing subject matters. All people cannot directly participate in the process of governance, because bureaucracy means, the democracy means also requires that all people cannot participate. Direct democracy is possible in the smaller level, So representative democracy. So people elect their representatives. But the representatives are not technically efficient, not technically very expert as bureaucracy. So those the leaders, the ministers, they need bureaucracy, an independent organization to get the information, facts, advice, and execution of their policy. So policy made by the political executive, policy executed by an independent organization called bureaucracy. And therefore, ultimately, this small section of society, both elected and selected, this small section of society basically always rule. So the structure of democracy is such that even in democracy, there is no rule of majority, no rule of direct rule of the people. Even this is the rule of oligarchy, so it cannot be avoided. And therefore, iron law of oligarchy. And therefore, here, the basic purpose of the people mainly frustrated. Second, third, considered the bureaucracy, like one more idea is that may be knowing that Philip Selznick has given the term that is a goal displacement, has given the idea of goal displacement, holding that actually the bureaucracy has a goal and it has to achieve. But bureaucracy has also to follow its rules and regulations. So reliance of bureaucracy to its rules and regulations, sometimes you find such that the maintaining the rules and regulation itself become the goal of a bureaucracy. And the goal for which the bureaucracy is developed, now it is displaced. And therefore, consider like bureaucracy suffer from goal displacement. Original goal of the bureaucracy is displaced, a new goal of the bureaucracy develops, and this new goal of the bureaucracy is basically considered the goal of maintaining law and order. Third, एक और देख सकते हैं, एक दो और हम लोग. One more we can say that the fourth one we can say the point. You may be knowing one term is red tapeism. Bureaucracy is sometimes considered. Bureaucracy is also notorious for its red tapeism. And what is the meaning of red tapeism? Do you know about it? The meaning of red tapeism, when we talk about, actually this involves the idea of red tapeism basically involves the unnecessary delay of work. Sometimes red tapeism means consider that inordinate delay of work. Red tapeism means simply understood in terms of inordinate delay of work. It means simple that the logic is very simply given that bureaucracy has to follow some rules and regulations. Bureaucracy has to follow some rules and regulations, right? So if bureaucracy has to follow some rules and regulations, and in the process of maintaining those laws, rules and regulations, actually unnecessary delay of work is done. So that is why sometimes consider this unnecessary delay of the work is the red tapeism. And therefore, bureaucracy is notorious for this purpose. Last but not least is one more, that is one more idea is given, that is considered basically Lord Howard says that bureaucracy suffer from, last but not least, that is considered a kind of a new idea, that is bureaucracy suffer from a kind of red, like a new despotism. Okay. And Lord Howard idea is that is, I think these points are not required, but despite that it is given Fine. This is considered that bureaucracy suffer from the next one, we can say that new despotism. Okay, I'm not writing the name because every name will be given, it will look like a public administration topic. That's why I'm reducing this name. Two areas are there, red tapeism and thus the new despotism. New despotism means bureaucracy is a very organized body that they have to work, and therefore they are so organized, so consistent among themselves that sometimes bureaucracy is such an organized group among themselves that in case of any mistake is done by anybody, it can very easily be protected by another body, and that's why it's a kind of new despotism. So friends, from these areas of discussion, very fast discussion, fast revision, I just told you what is bureaucracy, how bureaucracy come into existence, what are the features of bureaucracy, what are the functions of bureaucracy, and what are the challenges of the bureaucracy. So enough for this topic, just for having a synoptic view. I think this is quite enough for developing some kind of understanding about the bureaucracy. Thank you very much to all of you. Take care and have a good day.